Hey, okay, oh my goodness, it has been pouring down rain today. More today than any other day because it was raining yesterday, but pouring down rain today. And I went and got my hair cut and it finally started my hair finally started to dry out by about 6 o'clock. And I went in the morning. Oh, good heavens. But Pooh dressed up. He's festive. He's got a cute little bow tie. I was hoping to find a top hat for him because I remember there was like a Christmas special where he had a top hat. And look, I grew up watching The New Adventures of Winnie the Pooh and from the 80s and early 90s. And some of those blend where it seems like it's in the 80s and it's actually in the 90s, like the Little Mermaid TV series. I could have sworn started in the like right after the movie came out. But and I actually have a Christmas mug. We found a Christmas mug today. We went into a new store. One of the gals at the church. Um, I feel so old because when I went to the church years and years ago, I haven't been to that church in 20 years. Um, she, I used to teach Sunday school, and she was in the Sunday school class that I taught. But now she has a store on our Commerce Avenue, and I found this Christmas mug, and so there we go. So. I guess dancing skeletons don't fit the season, but they do. To me, they're I was told they don't. All right. But anyway, that's not what this is about, actually. I wanted to step away from the adventures of Jace and Marina, as much as we love them, as well as the Stone Protectors, and I wanted to react to something a little different. Um, Now, I'm sure that I wasn't the only one that had a grandmother that had a bunch of VHS, just random VHS that had a bunch of cartoons. In fact, on at another time when my mom and I were out shopping, we went to a collection shop and I found one of the movies that my grandmother had. It was this one, The Little Fox. And I actually had it up here, but then it got to be too much. And I don't like it when the light glares on this stuff. So I had to actually take it down. And yeah, Little Fox lost. I guess Little Fox is from Hungary. Um, you can correct me, of course. And but we used to watch that one a lot, and she also had Scamper the Penguin. I know that one's from Russia. And yeah, we enjoyed a lot of those. And one of my friends actually received the um, the anime Little Mermaid from the 70s. It's the actual movie, not the series that we're watching. No, that's the actual movie. It came out before Disney's Little Mermaid. And she said that her grandmother had that. Well, my grandmother had a VHS that was a collection of Max Fleischer cartoons. And it had like the Rudolph cartoon and um yeah, a Rudolph cartoon from the 30s that was long before the stop motion that we all love and adore. And it had there was a cartoon that was actually the introduction to Tweety Bird. This actually parodied Abbott and Costello, and just a whole bunch. Well, in it, there was this particular cartoon that has stuck with me for so long. I looked for it, and I found it. And it's called Somewhere in Dreamland. I know I talked about it on this channel before, and that video got deleted. I didn't mean to delete it. But this works out because now I can actually react to it and everything. Now, one thing to understand is that a lot of these cartoons from the 30s have a song that runs through. Um, and so YouTube, I'm sure, is going to get snarky. And I hope not. I don't own the music, everything, because it's not just chorus. There will be the characters singing. It's very sh short and everything. But yeah, that was something that Max Fleischer, Walt Disney wasn't the only one that did it, but Max Fleischer did it as well. And so you're going to hear this song throughout. Yeah, you're going to hear a chorus singing it, and at one point the cartoon characters are going to sing it as well. So this is the first time, well, yeah, actually, because when I talked about it, I hadn't actually found it on YouTube yet when I talked about it. I think that was in 2017 or 2018. And that I remember anyway. And a lot has happened. But anyway, here it is, Somewhere in Dreamland. So that must be the owner of the toy store. And the owner of the market. And of course, the baker. What child doesn't do this? Oh no.
I wonder where those children went. Poor little children. I know where they live. Let's go.
So we didn't see that it said Taylor, but we didn't see an owner of the Taylor shop. I think the door was closed on that shop. This is the thing. This was released in 1936. And so the Depression was going, and one thing to understand is that we need to be reminded is that they're picking up firewood, and that was a way of survival. You know, I can remember hearing from my grandparents and even great grandparents because I was lucky enough to know my great grandparents, and they would talk about what it was like in the Depression, and my grandparents being kids and everything, and they would talk about doing this kind of a thing. And well, even in the Lewis Hine pictures where you see the people on the street corners selling like pencils and that kind of thing. It was survival. And even in my generation, we don't see it as that. It's an unfortunately it is an ignorance thing because we haven't had to deal with something like this. I mean, in the recession in the 80s, it still wasn't as bad as the Great Depression. I mean, like I remember kids getting picked up by their grandparents because their parents were out looking for work and everything, but it wasn't like this where kids had to work because of course there's laws out now. But you know, when again, like I was saying with my grandparents and great grandparents talking about having to pick up firewood and everything and even selling it and that kind of thing. And in my generation's mind, it would be like, well, that's just like being a paper boy. That's like a summer job or something. And so a lot of times there's we should remind ourselves that this was a reality. And so fortunately we have even a cartoon can remind us of that. I hope that all made sense. I don't mean to be a Debbie Downer and to sound like a professor or anything, but it was a way of life at the time. So anyway, let's continue.
Hello, children. Give me a kiss. Me too. Supper's ready. Daisy.
Oh dear.
I'm gonna do.
Find a solution.
I'm still hungry, Mom.
Oh dear.
That's all right. I was only fooling.
The
Good night.
mom, it looks like Max Fleischer used the oh shoot, I'm blanking. Used olive oil and changed little things here and there because she looks very much like olive oil. I mean, even the clothing looks a lot like olive oil. And yeah, because Max Fleischer was uh, the creator behind Popeye. And so I would not be surprised. Hey, look, how many times have we shown where Disney recycled a lot of, and the animators have said it wasn't so much recycling, it was just I love how people get so and they're like, "Oh my gosh, you were lazy. Lazy, lazy." And it's like when you have the resource there, you do it. And it's the same thing for music where you're like, I can't believe that the the Pirates of the Caribbean is the same thing as Gladiator. It's like I think you need to listen to Henry Mancini's music a little bit because Henry Mancini, oh, I love his music. I have so much of his music. And, you know, he's famous for Pink Panther and the soundtrack Pink Panther. And I mean, but the thing is that his party music, because he also did Breakfast at Tiffany's. He was the one behind the soundtrack for Breakfast at Tiffany's. And the party music for Breakfast at Tiffany's, because if you're familiar with the movie Breakfast at Tiffany's, that one's the one with Audrey Hepburn. And she has this party in her apartment. And of course, there is at one point in um, Pink Panther where there is a party going on. It's the same song, basically. I mean, I think one of the last soundtracks that he was on was Great Mouse Detective. I think he did one more before he died. And and he started in the 30s or 40s. And so I mean with that span and you're trying to tell me he didn't recycle Mozart recycled his music. Oh, good heavens. So it just cracks me up that people will get upset over the Disney studios recycling, like when you see Maid Marian dancing and it's the same uh movement as Snow White when she's dancing with the dwarves during that whole scene. And then, of course, the famous in Sword in the Stone where Arthur comes home and the two dogs jump him, and they're licking his face and everything. And it's the same thing in Jungle Book where uh, Mowgli is dealing with the wolves and everything. You see a lot of it. I mean, like in The Rescuers, not a lot of people, I'm sure, have seen The Rescuers, but because The Rescuers and The Rescuers Down Under seems to be overlooked. But for those of you that have seen The Rescuers, of course, when Penny is looking out and there's that song playing, after Madame Medusa has said, "Who would want a girl like you?" Because all she wants is to be adopted. So she's looking out and there's a song playing and she's looking out and you see a lot of the animals from Bambi. In fact, you see Bambi and his mom. You also see where the bird flies into the nest and nestles in and the one bird pops up from and so yeah, it's there. So anyway, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised Max Fleischer did the same thing. And it's been a long time since I've watched a lot of Max Fleischer's uh, cartoons. I know about Superman, and of course Popeye. Popeye. Don't get me started on the movie with Robin Williams. A lot of people were saying it was trash, and I'm like, oh, why? I guess it's making a comeback, and just like Speed Racer, now all of a sudden everybody loves it, and it's like, yes. Anyway, let's continue.
I'll see you somewhere in dreamland. Somewhere in dreamland
You can tell those are kid voices.
tonight. Over a bridge made of moonbeams, we'll find the
He's
clouds
determined to sing it.
inside. Little star is a castle,
Definitely
shining
kid
and
voices.
welcome so bright. Dreams will come true for me and you. Somewhere in dreamland tonight.
I thought of American Tail where the kid reached that high voice, that high note and didn't make it from my childhood. Oh, there they go. They made it to Dreamland. See, that's what I mean. You can hear a chorus playing. They got new clothes. So she got a new, he got a little sailor outfit. How cute. Okay. So you look at the backdrop here, and of course, this is all hand drawn, 2D animation and everything. And I know there's a specific kind of, this is a specific kind of that's what I'm trying to say. Because there's like like a certain cell type of animation and a like overlay. Anyway, and I'm learning because I was learning the same kind of thing with the color processing with the silent film and everything. And I'm still learning all of that as well because you can't just say Technicolor and it's no, there are different processes to Technicolor. And while this is Technicolor, you still have a process to it. And so, but here's the thing that I'm getting to is that I can't understand why people are obsessed, or maybe they're not. I mean, I am seeing where a lot of people want the 2D animation again. I mean, even when I was in college. Now, again, I went to art school, and so there were those that were in the drawing department and that kind of thing. And I remember being in one of my classes, and we were supposed to talk about I think it was the English department, and we were supposed to write an essay about our particular department that we were in, and it was basically an introduction to. Anyway, so I think she was in the graphics department or something, and she just went off about how she so badly wants to go back to 2D animation because the 3D animation is just going to destroy animation in general. She said the art of animation and the animation of movies, she's like, this isn't progression if we're going to lose the 2D animation. She's like, more people are forgetting how to, well, what she said is true. I mean, yeah, I mean, looking at just this right here, where I can't understand. I mean, and why they're so fixated on I have called it bubble animation and I will stick to it. Why there's such a fixation on the bubble animation. there are so many characters that just don't translate into that. And if I hear, well, because it's cheap, did you look at all your at everything that you can do for it? I mean, it just I don't I have a real problem with wanting, especially when I saw the 3D animation for Garfield. Garfield does not translate into, and I don't mean the live action movies. I didn't have a problem with the live action movie. I mean that they made these 3D animation. I'm like, he looks awful. What did they do? Oh my gosh. It just, okay. One more part of this rant and then I'll move on because one of the Disney movies that my grandpa and I uh cherished was The Three Caballeros. Absolutely loved watching Three Caballeros together. Now there was a part in that where Jose would sing Bahia. And as he sang that song, it's a beautiful melody and uh it's a ballad and basically he's singing it. It's a beautiful song. And while he's singing it, there's these beautiful, like animated backdrops, so beautiful, of the city that he's talking about. And as a little kid, I wanted to go there. It was just, and it captivated me as a child. I loved what I was seeing. And that was with animation. Now I don't see that happening anymore. We need we need to go back, Marty. Anyway, let's keep going. Let's see these kids in Dreamland.
你们呢？俺说过，俺说过。
They're gonna get a tummy ache. Or maybe you don't get one in Dreamland. That's the joy of Dreamland. You can eat to your heart's content and not get one. See, again, the cake looks realistic, but it's a drawing in an animated cartoon. I love this carousel. It's the most creative carousel I've ever seen. Best use of animal crackers ever. Animal cookies, excuse me. This is such the imagination of a child. It makes you wonder when Max Fleischer wrote this, if he listened to some of the dreams that his children had. Or if he just sat and listened to his kids as they talked, because this is the pure innocence of kids. Look, when when I worked with kids and the things that they said and everything. It was just, it's just pure innocence. And I could, I, I've said it so many times on this, I could be having the worst day ever. And when I went into class and started teaching those kids, it made my day. Because, oh my gosh, they were just, oh. And a lot of times it was, I would start the music, and because I remember, um I would teach them, I would go, okay, we need to do first position, second position, and I would do the arms and everything. And a lot of times they would just be giggling. It's just the fact that they would be giggling just would make me giggle. But then I remember I'm the teacher. I can't do that. And it was and then in the tap class it was the same thing. Kids, when you put tappers on their feet, they gotta make the noise. And the problem is that you have to tell them, uh so I would always have this strategy of, okay, we gotta have quiet tappers on our feet. We can't be loud tappers right now. And of course, yeah, it worked most of the time. You always had the little sneaky pants who wanted to do. I'm telling you, kids are so innocent, and they like to be a little mischievous at times. Yeah, but when it comes to this, I mean, I'm just sure that either Max, when he was with his kids, he would listen to them talk about, yeah, just just the things that they were imagining or what have you, because this is pure kid. This is coming from someone who worked with kids for years, just the things that I have heard in my years working with kids. So, okay, let's keep going. I see cars in the background and balloons. That looks like a dollhouse. That's right, they found toys.
Time to get up. Get up, children. Huh?
Oh.
All for you. Yes. For you. Yes.
Had to make sure he wasn't dreaming. And that's the end of it. One other thing about his cartoons is, or even just, it wasn't just Max's cartoons. It was the style. Is you notice that these two children have very cherub looking faces, and Walt Disney did that too. So, and of course, those two men were in competition with each. They were the big animators of the day. But that was just the style. I mean, like I could name a few of Walt Disney's. There's quite a few of the Silly Symphonies. One is Wink and Blink It, and of course I don't know if that was actually a Silly Symphony. There's also the Water Babies. Uh, that's a Walt Disney. But whenever you see, I know especially with Max Fleischer, you see a lot of his children that have the little cherub face. And so that was a style in during that time. For some reason, they made that little, they animated their children to have the cherub face. And but anyway, this is Somewhere in Dreamland. It was released in 1936 during the Depression. And yeah. I'll look and see if I can find more information on it because obviously it was sung by the children. I'm not sure if you heard, but it reminded me of An American Tale, where in the movie the child actor sang and missed the note. We all know, poor kid. But yeah, anyway, that is Somewhere in Dreamland.